You need to back up so he can get through.
All right, guys. Yeah, this is gonna be a lot. We have a lot of games this Sunday, but thankfully buys are coming, which is good for some teams, and not good for any other teams. Let's get into this though. Week 4 predictions, everything on Sunday. Let's get this thing rolling. And with that, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Fun NFL. Please like and subscribe if you guys enjoy the Week 4 NFL Sunday predictions. We will be going through every single game this Sunday. There is 13 in total, and I'll be talking about them, telling you guys some things you need to know, and some, again, also important things. And I will also be giving you guys my prediction and pick for this game as well. As you can see, we have our first international game of the year. I think there's 5 or 6 or 7. I don't really know. There's a lot this year. I think there actually is more like 5 now that I think about it, but still. We have some weird games. We have one in Madrid later, one in Berlin later. Still, I think 2 games in London, and then also we already have the Sao Paulo game. But this will be our first game in Dublin, which we'll get to in a second. I just want to preface this, guys. This is pre-recorded. I'm pretty busy when I usually do this, so it's going to be, again, maybe a little bit off. But still, I'm going to give you guys my picks for this week. Anyway, though, like I said, our first game is going to be the international game. It's Tea and Crumpets, Sunday morning football, whatever you want to call it, but it's going to be in Dublin, Ireland, the first NFL game ever in Dublin, Ireland. We all know that, again, there have been there's been a decent amount of college football games to kick off the season in Dublin, so it's nothing really too new, but that's really what, again, it is for the NFL. With that said, though, we have a pretty fun matchup that actually both has some very recent, actually just a year ago, international history where they kicked off the international season outside of, again, week 1 last year. With that said, though, we have the Minnesota Vikings and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Both of these teams are coming off wins. Vikings win was absolutely dominant as they blew the doors off the Bengals 40-10 behind a perfect PFF grade. This has never happened, but first ever perfect PFF grade at 99.9 from Isaiah Rodgers. If you didn't know, he had he was first player ever to have 2 forced fumbles, a pick 6, and a scoop and score in the same game, let alone the same half, which he actually did in as well. Again, absolutely phenomenal performance. Again, if you didn't know, Carson Wentz started that game. He'll be starting again this week, we'll get to in a second. But, again, Carson Wentz played pretty well. Their overall offense had a pretty decent game. Just a lot of good things for the Vikings this past week. On the other side, though, the Steelers really didn't play that great of a game, but they also forced 4 fumbles. So, I mean, that's kind of how you win games, I guess, in New England. In Foxborough. Because, again, no one likes Patriots up there, to be honest with you guys. But still, the Steelers won that one 21-14. Aaron Rodgers threw, I guess, a touchdown. But still, he didn't have his best game. He really hasn't been great since week 1. Again, they're definitely going to want something out of him here against a pretty solid Vikings defense. Anyways, though, very, very fun matchup. Like I said, I did mention that these 2 teams played, or not these 2 teams, but Aaron Rodgers, specifically for the Jets, played against the Vikings last year in not Dublin, in London in week 5. The Vikings won that one 23-17 to stay undefeated again. That's when Sam Darnold was doing all that stuff, and they were really good to start the season. But in that game, Aaron Rodgers threw a pick 6 to Andrew Van Ginkel. He also threw, I think, 2 other picks, and he got sacked a bunch. That was a really entertaining game, though, in a lot of ways. Frustrating game for Jets fans, but still, Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. See if we see a similar game. I really like this matchup, though, a lot. That's really where you see it intriguing. But these 2 teams haven't really played recently at all. So again, I think that was a Chase Claypool game was the last time they played 4 years ago. So not really too much relevance there. Anyway, though, this game will be at 9:30 in the morning Eastern time. I just want to say that right now. So again, you got to get ready to get up. I mean, again, whether you're on the West Coast or here, you're going to have to get up to watch this game. It'll be on NFL Network as always, though. NFL Network always has the international games as well as NFL Plus. So, yes, that's where you can watch it. I think there's a kickoff show at 7 a.m. So, again, if you want to get the true inactives, that's where you can get that. But that's all I got for that. And we look at the weather for this game. Again, we're looking like Ireland time. Again, this isn't completely accurate, but still 58 degrees, decent wind, 6-7 on the humidity, normal weather for Dublin, and again, it's not raining, so again, that's what Ireland's known for. Again, it's a casual weather person there. Anyway, though, we look at the announcers for this game. You got Joe Davis, Greg Olson, Pam Oliver, and Jamie Erdahl. Again, she's the NFL Network host for some show. But we all know again that that's a very good team. I mean, just come off the Rams game. I'm kind of pissed about that, but still, they're obviously a pretty good crew. Vikings starting lineup. Jaden McCarthy's out again. He's still dealing with that ankle injury. Carson Wentz will probably start. Honestly, he probably should be the starter for a while if you think about it. Anyway, though, Jordan Mason's their starting running back. Aaron Jones was put on IR last week. Xavier Scott, I think, got a couple carries last week, if I'm not mistaken. He had 8 carries. He didn't do too bad. I don't think it was 8 carries. It was definitely a couple, though. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, who is back from that suspension after being a naughty boy, abusing some substances that he wasn't supposed to be injecting into himself. Pause. Jalen Naylor, and you also have Adam Thielen there as well. TJ Hawkinson's their tight end. Offensive line-wise, Donovan Jackson's definitely their rookie, so Joe Huber will probably start. Ryan Kelly, who missed last week, is questionable. Michael Juergens did do a good job filling in for him. And again, the rest of the offensive line is healthy, especially with Christian Darrisaw coming back. Welcome him back. And then Justin Skole, who's played a little bit, is questionable. For this defense, Javon Hargrave, the defensive tackle, my bad. We're going to wait. He's questionable, so that's not good. But other than that, they're pretty much good. Eric Wilson and Ivan Pace Jr., linebacker, off the edge. Andrew Van Eagle's questionable, which again would really suck if he doesn't play. Again, Isaiah Rodgers is now the starting cornerback. Nothing really new there. The rest of the secondary is healthy, and they're all very good. Will Reichard, Ryan Wright at kicker and punter. For the Steelers, if we can get to them. There we go. Aaron Rodgers again is at quarterback. Jalen Warren's questionable. Kenneth Gainwell, Caleb Johnson will probably get carries. I don't know. This running game sucks. Receivers are healthy. Jonnu Smith is questionable. Pat Freiermuth, Darnell Washington, or the other guys there at tight end, they're all going to play anyway. Connor Hayward was transferred to fullback after being cut from tight end. O-line is healthy. Defensively, nothing really too big outside of one guy we'll get to in a minute. But the D-line, again, Keanu Benton, Yaya Black. Derek Harmon didn't have his greatest first game. That's why he's not starting, but he still didn't play too bad. He had his first career sack, which I liked a lot, but he definitely wasn't great against the run and wasn't getting consistent pressure with the pass, which snaps he was getting. Just being pretty critical about him, but I still like what I saw out of him. TJ Watt obviously is coming off his one of his best games in a while, even though again he's obviously good every week almost. Patrick Queen, Cole Holcomb at linebacker, Peyton Wilson I guess is gonna. I don't think he's getting benched. They run a lot of 3 linebacker rotations anyway. It's really not the end of the world, especially with Nick Herbig not having the greatest start and Jack Sawyer being a rookie, even though he's like 40. Alex Highsmith's out for this game again, second straight week he is out, but honestly I think they can still work without him, even though him being such a good player. Again, nothing against him, just saying they were able to figure it out last week. Bro, are you kidding me? Darius Slay's healthy. Joey Porter Jr. is questionable. Brandon Eccles will start on the boundary if he can go. Jalen Ramsey's in the start. Juan Thornhill. Deshaun Elliott's questionable, but he's never healthy, so really who really cares? Chris Boswell, Corliss Waitman, Kenneth Gainwell, Calvin Austin, Christian Kuntz around their starting lineup. This game specifically for me, honestly, guys, if we look, again, if you haven't watched previous predictions, I have been going through the games and basically ranking them to how much I think that a lot of people would want to watch the game. This game I have to put in entertaining, to be honest with you guys. I think this is a game that a lot of people would want to take note of. It's not one of my top games this week, but it's a solid game to kick off the international series just because I think it's 2 competitive teams, both teams that have a lot of things that are going on with them. You could even put it in must watch if you wanted to, because I'm very intrigued by this game, but the quality of play I just don't think will be there, which kind of keeps it out of must watch. But this is definitely one of the better games of the week that I'm going to want to watch. It's just not again, something that I'm going to prioritize. Again, if I miss it, I'm yeah, I missed it, but is it that big of a deal? Again, I'm not unless you're a real fan of these teams. Again, you probably want to make it a priority, but it's not the end of the world if you don't end up watching it. That's all I got there though. We look at again the actual prediction for this game. I'm going to take the Vikings to win this one, 22-19. I think it'll be a turnover-filled game. Carson Wentz will make some dumb throws to keep the Steelers in it, but again, I don't think the Steelers will be able to figure it out at the end. Vikings got a big time win, move to 3-1. And yeah. They actually have a game next week in against the Browns, I think, in London. We'll get more into that again as we get close to that game. But still, Steelers, we'll see what happens. They have their bye week, though. So, again, early bye week coming up next. That's all I got there, though. Let's get to our 1 o'clock games. Looking at this 1 o'clock window, we have 7 games. I think there's 4 for CBS, 3 for Fox. We also have 4 games in the late window, so 7 by 4 this week. Also, again, Sunday Night Football, which we'll get to in a minute. But anyway, first game we'll be going through in the 1 o'clock window is the worst game of the week in terms of competitiveness. This is my eliminator pick as well. Again, you could probably already figure out who it is. But we'll start out with the Saints. Again, this is the Saints versus Bills if you haven't already figured it out. The Saints, though, again, they haven't been absolutely atrocious. This hasn't been the start, again, they would have obviously wanted, but it isn't the worst start they could have had. They, again, lost close against the Cardinals and Niners, yes, both at home. Last week, they got walloped by the Seahawks in Seattle. I don't think the score really reflected how the game went, but still, they were really outmatched in that game. Spencer Rattler got benched despite him not really playing the worst so far this season, and their defense kind of got embarrassed in a lot of ways, even though they really weren't that bad against everyone. It was a weird game. It was still an absolute blowout, though, and this is a team going to Buffalo. It doesn't really look, it looks like it's going to be any better. Bills are 3-0. They've looked like the best team in football so far this season. Again, they did need a 15-point comeback out in the last 4 minutes to beat the Ravens, but still they are 3-0. Last week they survived against the Dolphins in a trap game, but again, after this mini bye, this is one of those games that there's really no excuse for losing. Even though, again, you call it a trap game, it's really not that, honestly, guys. If you're the Bills, again, this is literally, I think this is my number 1 team versus my number 32 team. There's absolutely no way the Bills are losing this game unless Josh Allen tears his ACL or something. It's just not going to happen, but still. For the Bills, they've had a decent start, again, pretty solid start for their, not even for their standards. They've had a good start to the season. So, again, this would be just an absolute, just a mockery if they lose this, especially who they're playing next week as well. This game, though, but between both these teams, they haven't played in Buffalo, I think, since 2017. I think the Bills got destroyed by the Saints or something. It was I don't even remember that. But they did play in 2021. That was on Thanksgiving. The Bills blew the Saints out. I mean, there's really nothing else to that one. But anyway, this game will be at 1 o'clock on CBS. NFL Plus and Paramount Plus are the streaming services to watch this game on. Other than that, though, we look at the weather in Buffalo for this game. It's pretty much perfect. 72 degrees, a little bit of wind, not much humidity. Again, you can't really ask for much better than this. Announcing this game will be Andrew Cantelon, Charles Davis, Jason McCourty, and A.J. Ross. So, again, about CBS's 4th team in terms of, again, like that. It's going to be in green. Again, a decent amount of the country's getting this game. Not really a ton, but still a decent amount. For the Saints, though, Spencer Rattler's their starting quarterback again. Kamara's in the backfield after a tough week. Kenny Miller looks to have a better week than he had last week as well. Our receiver Devon Vela is questionable, as well as Trey Palmer. Look out for Chris Olave to actually have a good game. Outside that though, with Jerome Radon's the backup left guard questionable. They're completely healthy. Juwan Johnson also still put up, I think, somewhat respectable numbers, if I'm not mistaken, last week. I mean, I don't think his numbers were great, but yeah, he still put up numbers. Like he's been a good tight end so far this year. I don't think I picked him in fantasy yet though. Anyway though, back on track here if we can get to it. Defensively, they're bad up front, but they're healthy. Chase Young's questionable once again. Everyone else is healthy. Secondary's been burnt toast, but they're still, I guess, there. Blake Ruby, Kai Kruger are there as well. For the Bills, you look at their starting lineup. Everyone, again, outside Spencer Brown, who will probably play anyway, is questionable. Even then, he might not even. Everyone's healthy. Maybe Money Mitch comes in later. Defensively, they're a little bit banged up. AJ Epinez is questionable after a pretty solid week. Ed Oliver's questionable. Deion Walker will probably play if he can't, considering he has been outplaying TJ Sanders from what I've heard. Michael Hoyt and Larry Ogunjobi are still suspended. I don't know how long he is for. Yeah, 6 games. Okay, so like 6, 7 with that. And then Larry Ogunjobi, what do we got on him? 6. A lot of 6s. Maybe we can get a 7 there. Anyway, Joey Bosa, he's there as well. Greg Rousseau, again, those are the 2 starting edge rushers. Matt Milano's questionable. The rest of the team is basically healthy. Matt Prater, Cam Johnson, again, some other randos there as well. Again, Reed Ferguson's their long snapper. For this game, this is probably going to be the worst game of the week to watch. I mean, maybe you tune in to see if it's actually going to be good. I mean, it's going to be close. But other than that, there's really no other reason to watch this game. Again, it's probably one of the least intriguing games of the week. It's literally my worst team in football in power rankings versus my best team. Like, I don't really know what else to tell you guys. This game's just not going to be very competitive. On top of that, though, we look at the prediction. I'm going to say the Bills win. Again, minus 1,800 is absolutely bonkers. Again, they are my eliminator pick, but still, I wouldn't even take. It's a lot of money. Anyway, though, for the Bills, I'd say they win this one 35-13. It's not going to be a completely an abomination of a score, but it's not going to be close. I'm going to say they win this one, 35-13. It's going to be like, I don't know, 28-0 and a half or something. Like, just a blowout. It's just not going to be like some an all-time thing. Maybe it will be. Who knows? I'm going to say 35-13, though. I'm going to stick with that. Now let's get to our next game, which should be, I don't know, maybe it's a little more competitive. We'll see on that, though. Well, I might have said that last game was pretty unwatchable. This one could be just as well, as we have the Tennessee Titans and Texans facing off for the first time this season. Again, they'll be playing twice. And yeah, very simply, for the Texans, this is a must-win. If they lose this game, I might, NRG Stadium might get burned down. Probably not, but who knows? Both these teams are 0-3. It's not a tank bowl because, again, the Texans, again, this season. But, again, it's really hard for a Week 4 game to be a tank bowl. Both these teams have to be absolutely atrocious, and they're just, I mean, they're not. So, like, I don't know what to tell you. Titans, you could argue, they're 0-3. They got blown out by the Colts last week. That game really wasn't close at all. They sucked at tackling. Their defense looked really uninspired, despite really not giving it too many big plays. Offensively, they really just struggled to, again, keep up with the Colts, on top of the fact they couldn't run the ball to save their life. Alec Ayumanor looks like their only true threat in that offense, on top of the fact that Chigga was really the only consistent threat as well. Other than that, though, the Titans really haven't had a great start to the season. Their offense has yet to score over 20 points, and they probably won't even need it against the Texans, because the Texans themselves have not scored 20 points this season. They put up a total of 9. A great number of 19 and 10 points in their first 3 games. They have really struggled to be on offense, to say the least. Defensively, they're still really good, but like, how much does that matter when the fact that you're one of your best acquisitions this offseason, Cena Gardner-Johnson, is not really doing his job, to say the least. But that really doesn't matter because he's gone. So yeah, but yeah, this is a huge game for the Texans. Again, like I said, everything's coming down if they lose this one. Also, the last time the Titans have won a game actually was in before Thanksgiving. That's actually crazy. And that was against these Texans. They won 32-27 in a pretty wild game. But yeah, maybe we see a similar game in this one. Who knows? This game, though, will be at 1 o'clock on CBS, Annabelle Plus, Paramount Plus will be the ways you can stream whatever this game will end up being. Announcing this game will be Beth Mowins, Ross Tucker, Amanda Ballion. I'm not really that surprised. That's who's announcing this game. Nothing against Beth Mowins, but she never really calls us the most intriguing games. Yellow is, that's where this game will be, and, it's actually not too bad. Again, it's not like a complete, nothing burger, but still, not really much the country's getting this. Titans starting lineup. Cam Ward's a quarterback. Bryce Oliver's questionable. He doesn't even play, though. I don't know. Caleb Mullings, again, he's probably their second best running back. Yeah, it's just not really going good for this offense. Starting right guard, Kevin Zeitler, who struggled this year, is questionable. And then J.C. Latham, who, he's just kind of been out there. He's questionable as well. For this defense, Sebastian Joseph, Shai Tuttle, Jefferson Simmons will be probably expected to be a little bit better in terms of stopping the run this week. They really didn't get anything going last week. Draymond Jones, Arden Keogh, the edge rushers. Flemio Adagio has been all over the place. You got Cedric Gray and Cody Barn at linebacker. Jihad Ward is also there off the edge. He doesn't really play, though. Dorian Mousey's questionable. Kevin Winston plays a little bit, but he's questionable. The rest of the secondary is good to go. Joey Slye, Johnny Hecker, Shamari DK, and Morgan Cox are those guys that are on special teams. For the Texans, nothing really too much going on outside again, their O-line being in shambles because they suck. I don't know. Tank Dell is not really close to coming back. Jakob Johnson's questionable. The rest of the offense is basically healthy except Jake Andrews, who's their center. He's questionable, but he isn't even that good. So, honestly, I don't really care. For this defense, honestly, other than Derek Stingley being questionable, there's really nothing else going on, but he's kind of been dealing with that injury. Danico Autry, how long is he on the PUP list for? Yeah, another 4 games. Okay, so... yeah, this is the 4th game. Anyway, I'm just trying to gather my thoughts there. Anyway, though, special teams unit is, as usual, Jalen Noel, again, the rookie, is the returner. This game is not one I'd want to watch. I'm going to put this one in the bottom. It would be funny if the Texans lost, though, so, I mean, maybe I'll turn that on for that. It should actually probably be a decent game if I can find the Texans. Where the heck are they? There we go. Yeah, this game will be boring, though. For who actually wins it, I don't even really care. I'm going to say the Texans put their SHIT together and figure out a way to win this one. I'm going to actually say they score 20 points. They win this one 21-17. Not it. Like, again, maybe I go like 21-10 or something. Titans score a late touchdown. I see that Titans offense so struggling to, again, not turn over the football and, again, give up a lot of sacks. But Texans, I don't know. You put something together and get a decent, not even decent one. You figure out a way to win this one. That's all I got there. Let's get to our last game for CBS in the early window. That isn't, supposed to be on national TV. Whatever, though. All right, guys, I just want to say for CBS, I understand you're trying to play it safe with this game, but, like, honestly, who in their mind is going to watch the game they're putting in the early doubleheader window? Like, I really have no idea. But anyway, to this game, it's actually really fun. I mean, the matchup itself doesn't look very competitive, but you'll see why in a minute. Chargers, though, are 3-0. They're off to their best start since 2002, something like that. It's been a while since they've been, again, out to this type of start. But still, they are 3-0. They, again, beat the Broncos on a game-winning field goal last week in a game they really had no business winning late. But still, they figured out a way to win. Again, the first 2 games they played very, very well defensively and offensively to get those 2 huge wins. But still, they are now 3-0 in their division. This is probably the best start any team could have wanted considering the schedule they have. But still, this is a game that, again, this is the easiest game on their schedule so far, and this is a game that they should be expected to win. Meanwhile, the Giants, a couple guys in their on their team might be playing for their jobs, not on their team, like, again, around the team or not even around the team. Part of the team might be playing for their jobs or, like, the involvement of the Giants. Whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. They're 0-3, though. None of their games really been that inspiring. I'm joking. Again, we don't know how Russ played against the Cowboys. But still, they have not put a complete game together. It's either their offense puts up a bunch of points, their defense sucks, or their offense just lays complete egg and their defense kind of sort of keeps them in it. So, again, we saw that the latter last week. Again, the week before that, we saw the other thing. So, who knows? Maybe we see the offense actually do something. But the defense, being at home, maybe plays a little bit better. Not a very inspiring home opener, though, for the Giants. There were a lot of boos. There was a lot of, Russell Wilson getting benched. I mean, that happened, I guess. Jackson Dart's their starting quarterback. Not going to try to go into that one too much. But still, the Giants were with us back in 2017 when they played the Chargers. Last time the Chargers were here, and the Giants won that game. No, I think the Chargers did. Shoot, whatever, though. This game, though, is at 1 o'clock on CBS, NFL Plus, Paramount Plus are the ways you can stream it. Weather for this game, again, 71 degrees, really nothing crazy. I guess it's cloudy, so, again, that's probably better, doom and gloom for the Giants. But still, that's what I got there. Announcing this game, Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, Melanie Collins. Yeah, that's again, who's calling? I don't know why they wasted this on them. I'm joking. Honestly, that's completely fine. Map, it's in blue. Honestly, I think it has a more of the map than the national game, but maybe not. I could just be seeing things. Anyway, over the Chargers, you got the Madison Beer boyfriend there at quarterback. Omari and Hampton, Hassan Haskins, I guess, are running the football, again, with Najee Harris absolutely, exploding his Achilles. Outside of that, though, honestly, I don't care. Darius Davis is questionable. Will Desi's questionable. Bradley Bozeman, Mekhi Becton, they've all been playing good. They're all questionable. They'll probably all play. Maybe not Mekhi Becton. He's been a little bit off-putting from the injury. But anyway, he should be fine. Defensively, what do we got? Khalil Mack broke his elbow last week, if I'm not mistaken, or it was 2 weeks ago, whatever, though. Elijah Molden's questionable, but he's been playing a lot, so, again, that would be a pretty big loss if they lost him. Aloy Gilman did not play well last week. Derwin James really didn't either, except he made a huge play a couple times, so I guess you can say that. But the rest of this defense is healthy, and they've been playing really well. Dicker, the kicker, J.K. Scott, and some other randos with Rick Lovato at long snapper. For the Giants, again, if you haven't already figured out, Russ is starting the rest of this. Not Russ. Jackson Dart is starting the rest of the season. That's an interesting move. But yeah, they're trying to support him because they know that everyone else is going to be gone if he doesn't play well or remotely okay. So Cam Scatterable, obviously, is their starting running back. He's their best offensive player right now, outside of one guy we'll get to in a minute. Tyron Tracy's quit doubtful. Devin Singletary, I guess, will play. Eric Gray, I kind of forgot he was even on the team. Malik Neighbors is questionable. Jalen Hyatt is a donut. Darius Slayton's also questionable. He will need to play in this offense if Malik can't. I think he'll be fine, though. Juan Robinson's questionable. Or no, he's not. He's actually healthy. Change of pace there. Bo Collins, who doesn't play, is questionable. Theo Johnson, questionable tight end. Daniel Bellinger, again, I guess he could be out there. Theo Johnson's really the only legit, or not even legit, only actual threat at tight end. in terms of receiving options, but even then, he really hasn't been playing well this season. Andrew Thomas is questionable. John Michael Schmitz Jr. is also questionable. The rest of the O-line is healthy, though. For this defense, Raheem Nunez-Roches, who's actually been good against the run, is questionable. Darius Musau, or whatever his name is, questionable. Secondary-wise, Drew Phillips has been playing out of his mind. Cordell Flott actually might be a starting cornerback, and Deontay Banks is obviously burnt toast. Graham Gano is questionable. He hasn't really been healthy. Scottish Hammer, who kicked last week, is there at punter, and then, like 6'7" for the rest of this group. Anyway, though, this game, I'm going to just be honest with you guys. It's going to have to be a game you're going to watch. I'm not saying the whole way, but, there's no way you don't watch this game. Again, there's just too much at stake in this one that, again, you can't. Well, for the Chargers, you might, how much is really at stake? Well, they have a chance. I'm not going to say they will, but they have a chance to be honestly, there really isn't much at stake except the Chargers, yeah. Other than the Chargers choking, there's really not much else at stake for them. The Giants, though, again, it's just Jackson Dart's debut. The Giants are, again, debut. The Giants are a big market team. This is just a game you got to turn on. I don't think it's, really, again, realistically, it's probably not a game that, again, in terms of competitiveness, that will most likely be there. But it's still a game that you're going to have to turn on and watch just because, again, there's a good chance there's something crazy that goes on that, again, will definitely make the week what it is. Anyway, though, it's not the game of the week, but it's still a game that, again, I think is definitely something you got to turn on at some point, even if it's 40-0 in the fourth quarter. With that said, though, we look at who I'm actually going to pick for this game. Everyone thinks, not everyone, actually a decent amount think the Chargers are going to win. I'm picking Jackson Dart to have a monster debut, similar to Danny Dimes did, even though, again, we all know Danny Dimes, unless he's with, again, Indiana Jones, isn't very good. That's why, again, I think not that's why. He had a big debut against the Bucs in 2019, his rookie year in Week 3. I think that Jackson Dart's going to throw for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns or something bonkers like that. And, the Giants, everyone will go crazy with the Giants, they have a franchise quarterback and all that. But this game, I see a big upset here. I'm going to say the Giants win this one 31-30 and just a really great game. I don't see this game being very well played, but I see it being a game that's fun to watch, and there's a good amount of points put up. And he saves his head coach and his GM's job on the process. Maybe not next week, though. That's what I got there, though. Let's get to our other games, which I don't even know what to think of this next one. Next on the docket is first of 3 games for Fox in the early window. That, again, of course, will be a pretty boring matchup that I'm going to be honest, no one really will probably care about. But anyways, it's the Carolina Panthers who come in at 1-2 against the Patriots, who are also 1-2. Both teams coming off very different results. Panthers, again, their best defensive performance in a long time as they shut out the Falcons 30-0 for their biggest win since in a decade, over a decade now that we think about it. Bryce Young didn't really play well, but it didn't matter because, again, they still won. Got their first win of the season, and now they look to get to 500 for the first time since... It's been a while. I can't even tell you the last time they were at 500. It definitely wasn't the past 2 years. I think. What was it? I don't think. I don't know if they guys. I honestly don't think the Panthers have been 500 since they were 4-4 in 2021. It has been a while since they've been at 500. So again, I think that's what they're looking for in that. Other than that, though, for the Patriots, they again have not been good offensively. It's been either Drake. Honestly, Drake May has been the issue the past 2 weeks. It's been either he hasn't really been developing on his concepts, or they have been fumbling the ball out of their, That was at least last weekend as they fumbled the ball 4 times. Ramondre Stevenson had a pretty rough game, but again, defensively they still played pretty well, which again is an encouraging sign. But again, that really doesn't matter at home if your offense can't show up and score points, despite maybe being able to move the ball decently, a lot better than week 1. But still, Patriots have not been good offensively at home in really all facets so far this season. Again, they're gonna have to put a better performance this week, especially against Panthers team that again has really good defense, guys. But with that said, Panthers haven't pulled up here since 2017. That game I can't even tell you what it was. I think the Panthers won and beat Tom Brady. It was kind of an upset, whatever that you want to call that. As well, they haven't played since 2021. That was a game that, J.C. Jackson was like God, I guess, and the Panthers kind of got embarrassed in that one with Sam Darnold quarterback and all that. This game, though, will be 1 o'clock on Fox. Fox 1 is the way to stream this one as well. I guess you can watch it with some, freaking bozo subscription thing on the website for Fox. Anyway, though, we look at the weather, 71 degrees, a little bit of wind, not much going on, pretty similar to the weather in East Rutherford. Announcing this game, you got Chris Myers, Mark Schuth, and Jen Hill, so yeah, no one really is going to be watching this game. Oh, that's the wrong map. This is the right map. There we go. All right, we got the orange, so yeah, another country's getting this game. I mean, I guess, is it better than the Jags game? Who really knows? Panthers, starting lineup, Chuba Hubbard's questionable. Not too surprised there. He's been a little bit off. Rico Dowdle, Trevor Etienne in the backfield. Ted McMillan's questionable as well as Xavier Legette. Hunter Renfrow, David Moore, and Bryson Tremaine are a receiver. Jadavion Sanders is doubtful. You do have Tommy Tremble there as well. Entire offensive line is, again, outside of Robert Hunt and Austin Corbett, I guess, are healthy. Pretty good continuity on this group. I don't think this is basically the exact same group that I'm used to seeing. Defensively, though, at least for the past couple years, at least 2 years now, Patrick Jones is questionable. Princey Anunimian, whatever his name, will probably get the start if he can go. G.J. Wanham has not been good. Nick Scorton, the other rookie, has been pretty good, even though he's been stiff off the edge. D-line's good to go. Tershawn Warren's the only guy, again, rotational pass rusher, who I think had 5 sacks last year, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 6.5, my bad. Has not really gotten the start he really would have wanted. Linebackers are good to go. Secondary is good to go, which, again, has actually been one of the better ones in football so far. Ryan Fitzgerald, Sam Martin, kicker and punter, and then, Trevor Etienne, J.J. Jansen rounding things out there. Over to the Patriots. They've got an interesting thing going on. Again, if we can get this loading. Tax Shoes, they're starting running back. Ramondre, I guess, has been more consistent, but again, he's still falling the ball like 4 times. Travion Henderson has not been good. Drake May, again, is starting quarterback. Receivers, good. They're not good, but they're healthy. Hunter Henry had a monster game last week in fantasy at tight end. Austin Hooper's his backup, kind of. They both play. Jared Wilson's questionable, and who else cares about the rest of this group? Layden Robinson, how did he get injured? I still don't think I have any idea. Undisclosed. Is there any way we're gonna figure that out? I don't think there will be. Defensively, though, Kayvon Chasen's questionable. It's kind of shocking he's their starting edge rusher, but I mean that's kind of what you get here. Keanu White's got to start out there. I don't know what they're trying to do with him. Even though it hasn't really been very good so far this year. Christian Gonzalez questionable. Honestly, everything else is fine. Andy Borgos is their kicker, and Bryce Behringer, and some other dudes that you've heard of around things out there. This game is also a game that I don't care about. Panthers Patriots is a boring game. It's just not a game you're gonna want to watch, and I don't really care about it either. Who actually wins this one? Give me the Panthers. Bryce Young doesn't play absolutely terrible. They got this one out 18-13. I don't see it being a very good game, but no, that's a weird score. Even weirder. 18-11. There's my final score. Not a good game, but the Panthers, they get back to 500 for the first time in a while, and the Patriots, they continue to struggle on offense. Next up, we got a game that had a lot of trade hypotheticals this offseason, that being Myles Garrett going to the Lions, which again never really came to fruition considering the Browns gave him a bunch of money, and that was paid off last week as the Browns got a monster upset over the Packers with a 13-10 final score. Their offense really didn't do anything the entire game, but it didn't matter because again, Quinton Judkins had a couple big runs to end the game, and also Andre Schmidt earned himself back a spot in this roster with that 55-yard bomb to win the game. Nonetheless, for the Browns, they're looking to do this very similar thing here against a Lions team that has been cooking the past 2 weeks as their offense has looked about as good as they ever could have, as they have put up at least 38 points the past 2 weeks. Very well-rounded win against the Ravens last week behind a very solid defensive performance behind, again, a very good offense. Week 2, we all know they put up 52 points. Week 1 was kind of an egg, but who really cares? This is now their second home game of the year. Hopefully they can, again, keep up the momentum, but I would be shocked if they put up anything near 38 points this week. We'll see if that actually happens, though. Browns have not been to Detroit in a minute, probably since 2017 even. They haven't played in 4 years as well, so there really isn't too much to talk about with that. But, as we all know, very interesting matchup between the Browns offense and the Lions, not the Browns offense, the Browns defense and the Lions offense. This game will be at 1 o'clock on Fox. Fox 1 is the way you can stream it. We look at announcers. You got Kenny Albert, Jonathan Milman, and Megan O'Leary. Map-wise, it's pretty decent amount of country. Again, you get the Midwest, most of the Midwest getting it, and then you got some random areas here as we move over to the Ohio Valley and stuff. With the Browns, though, Joe Flacco's their quarterback. Quinton Judkins, Jerome Ford in the backfield. Dylan Sampson, I guess, has kind of gotten flushed out of the starting, or not starting, but decent snap load at least. My bad. Snap count there. Jerry Jeudy, again, Cedric Tillman's questionable. Isaiah Bond is really the only other good receiver, to be honest with you guys. David Njoku here, Fanner or tight end. O-line wise, Jack Conklin's questionable, but Cornelius Lucas can play both spots, I guess, to tackle if he can't go. Defensively, Myles Garrett is very good. The backup defensive tackles really are not. Again, Mason Graham has had a pretty fun start to his season, despite maybe not having the pressure rate that he would have hoped for. Linebacker-wise, I mean, they're all there. Are they good? That's another question. Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit are both questionable. The rest of the secondary is healthy, outside of, again, Martin Emerson Jr., who tore his ACL or Achilles, something like that in the, again, training camp. Andre Schmidt, Corey Borquez, Deanna Carter, Rex Sonera are their special teams bros. Not defensively. For the Lions, they've got nothing really going on, to be honest with you guys. Amon-Ra coming off a really good week. Jameson Williams can catch a bomb. Taylor Decker is questionable. Don't get any ideas, Jameson. But anyway, Seamus Williams is there. And Isaac Tesla will probably catch a touchdown or something. Defensively, honestly, don't even care. No one's really that injured. They're good to go. For this game, though, There's really nothing too much to say about it. I'm going to put this one in decent just because of how this game could turn out. Again, no Lions game is truly one that I wouldn't like at least tell you to like watch a little bit of, just again where they are right now. But again, so this will probably be one of the more boring Lions games considering who they're playing. But I still think the Browns will be able to put up a decent enough amount of fight for this game to be watchable. But I still think they're going to win pretty decently. I'm going to say 23-10. Browns offense really just never gets much going, and the Lions offense is able to kick up field goals and just get through the game and end up coming out on the winning side. That's all I got there. Now let's get to again a legit game that I'm still not really that confident in. And one of two national games in the early window being Fox's featured matchup. There we go. Again, you guys can already tell with Joe Davis and Greg Olson and Pam Oliver all calling that Dublin game. Jesus. There's no Fox America's Game of the Week this week, so they're going to have the early window featured game. Again, CBS, we'll get to in a second. But still, this game is going to be interesting. The Eagles are not the best team in football, as some people still think they are. Jalen Hurts is still not a top 16 passer in the NFL, and the Eagles are still not this good. But still, they won last week. They came back from 26-7 down to the Rams, and they won. They covered the spread, and a lot of bettors are happy, and a lot of people think that game was rigged. It probably was. But still, the Eagles came back from way down and figured out a way to win this one. Their offense looked better than they had really for a while in that last quarter. Or, no, second half. Bucks though are also 3-0. They're a little bit different though, considering they had they've had pretty close games across the board. Similar to the Eagles, just more the fact that I don't think they've looked as great in those. They're still 3-0, like I said though. So who really cares? This is a pretty good matchup. Again, the Bucks have had the Eagles' number the past two times they played. They blew them out last year, 33-16. It really wasn't even that close. But again, it was fair to say that A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith were both out for that game, and they did give it a long run to Saquon. So we'll see how that figures out. And they also played in 2023 in the wild card, and the Eagles had they had a tough game there. This game though will be at 1:00 on Fox. Again, Fox 1 with being the featured game this week for Fox. Weather. It's going to be pretty hot, 88 degrees, partly sunny, so we'll see how that, again, the run defense is affected by that. Announcing it will be KB, Tom Brady, Aaron Andrews, Tom Rinaldi, Fox's #1 team. Map-wise, yeah, a lot of countries getting this game, and for good reason. It's an undefeated matchup. There really isn't usually that many games I won't say this late in the season, but it's kind of hard to find. This is one of the more, I won't say rare, but it's not a common occurrence. Eagles starting lineup. Tanner McKee, the backup's questionable, but other than that, nothing too much big going on. Again, A.J. Brown coming off a huge game. Devontae Smith had a huge touchdown. Or Devonta Smith, my bad. You got Saquon not coming off the greatest game. Again, he hasn't really gotten going so far. O-line is, yeah, they're healthy. Defensively, though, D-line has been absolutely monstrous this year. Darius Smith, Jalen Son off the edge, Joshua Uche, and Aziz Ojolari are also there. Zach Bond, John Campbell are both questionable. Samel Mon Jr., Jeremy Trotter are both not backups, but again, they're rookies. They're also there. Again, N'Kobe Dean's still on the PUP list, as you guys all know. Dory Jackson's questionable. Perry Nickerson is his backup. Kelly Ringo's not going to play. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean are also there. Aiden Makuba and Reed Blankenship are their starting safety. Sidney Brown gets in there a little bit as well. They got some random things that going on at kicker. And then, Jesus, over the Bucks, they've got Baker Mayfield questionable, so Teddy Bridgewater will start if he can't go. I think he's completely fine, though. Yeah, right biceps. Yeah, he'll be fine. He's going to play. Bucky, Ducky Irving, and Rashad White in the backfield. Mike Evans is doubtful. That's pretty not good. Chris Godwin, if he can play, I mean, I would push it. They're going to need him to. Again, he didn't practice, but they got to get him out there, even if it's in a limited capacity, which it will be. Amiga Buga is going to have to go off. Sterling Shepard, though, Tez Johnson are really the only other reliable receivers. Kate Ons, their tight end, Payne Durham might get out there a little bit. Keefe, the blocking back, tight end, is on IR, though. Tristan Wirfs is still questionable. Charlie Heck is as well. Again, they already lost 2 guys for the year. I think not Luke Gedeke, but definitely Cody Mouch. So this offensive line's in, I won't say ruins, but they're not in a good spot, to say the least. For this defense, though, Elijah Roberts, Vita Vea are there. Lucan Hall is questionable. Greg Gaines will play if he can't go like last week. The rest of the front seven is good to go. Not defensively. Secondary-wise, Christian Izine is questionable. The rest of the group is expecting to play better than they did for a lot of last week. Chase McLaughlin, Riley Dixon are there, and then you got some other dudes. For this game, it's obviously one of the games of the week, even though I don't really think it truly is, considering how banged up the Bucs are. But still, this is one of the games you're going to have to watch this week. Again, it's one of the premier matchups. Really nothing much else to it. Again, must-see game. For who's going to actually pick to win this one, I just have too much confidence in the Eagles, guys. Again, I understand the Bucs have owned them, but I just don't see them pulling this one off just because of the fact that I don't see this, they're just not healthy. If they were healthy, oh yeah, for sure I'd give them the win. But I just don't see that right now, especially with the fact the Eagles just seemingly can't lose right now. Jalen Hurts on 17 or 18 straight starts. What am I supposed to do with that? So, Eagles win this one 28-23. And yeah, that's where I see the final score going. I think maybe the Bucs come back late or something like that, but still, I'm gonna say the Eagles win this one. Not in a true throw, but should be a good game. Now let's get to what could be the worst national game of the entire season. You got to be kidding me, guys. This game is just this just isn't a very good game. But it is CBS's first game of their doubleheader. I don't know, maybe it'll be a good game, but realistically it won't, considering how both these teams, I mean, the Commanders are decent, but still. This is just not a matchup that I really see really working out. But still, Commanders coming at 2-1. They have been pretty solid this season. Again, all things said, again, Jaden Daniels' injury isn't ideal. Is he even playing in this one? Maybe? Is there? Yeah, okay. Anyway, though, for this game specifically, though, the Commanders, we all know that they didn't play well against Packers a couple weeks ago. Jaden Daniels got injured. They had a mini bye week, though, regrouped pretty well, and they just absolutely pulverized the Raiders, winning 41-24, scoring more points in that game than they scored. They have scored so far this season prior to that. But anyway, this game should be at least a little bit better than I guess, but yeah, they're pretty decent. Falcons, though, what do you even say? Like, Michael Penix, bro, what was that? Like, I literally thought he might have. Yeah, that was just. Oof. That was a rough game, to say the least. Anyway, though, they have played a lot in the here, or at least not a lot. They played a couple times the past couple years here. 2021 they played. That was when Matt Ryan was still the quarterback for the Falcons. That's a while back now, and the Commanders are the football team. But the Commanders won that one 34-30 in pretty crazy fashion. J.D. McKissick was still on the Commanders. Yeah, that's a pretty good poll. And then also, again, fantasy poll as well. We looked to 2 years ago. They played here, also on CBS, 1 o'clock window, I think, something like that. That was a good game. Commanders won 24-16. Desmond Ridder kind of sold that one again when he was still the quarterback. That might even be a poll, to be honest with you guys. This game, though, will be at 1 o'clock on CBS, NFL Plus, and Paramount Plus, the ways to stream it again if you do have Paramount Plus. Announcing this game, again, because it is CBS's national game in the early window, you have, I don't even know, where are they? Where's the announcers? Can I find them? Oh, yeah, Ian Eagle, J.J. Watt, and Evan Washburn. So, CBS's second team, of course. Map-wise, that's this one. There we go. You've got, I don't know, it's red. That's not too much. So, it's kind of a weaker map, which, again, is good. This game, again, we all know Jaden Daniels, he's questionable. I think he'll play, to be honest with you guys. Corey Cross-Camara's questionable, Bill, and then, you know, not really good things, despite Jerry McNichols breaking off a pretty long run for a touchdown last week. Terry McLaurin and Noah Brown, both questionable. One of them will play Debo and Chris Moore, as well as Luke Caffrey. I jack up the score there as well. What a jerk. Zach Ertz is tight end. John Bates is questionable. Rest of the O-line is, or not the rest of the O-line. O-line is healthy, except with the fact that Sam Cosmi is, that's just not true. He's on the PUP list. Defensively, though, what's going on? Percy Butler's questionable. They're good to go. Again, they're a healthy group. Matt Gay, Tress Way, and the whole thing. Falcons time, if we can get over to them. Again, Kirk O'Chains, is he starting? No. You still got Michael Penix. I kind of forgot Emory Jones still existed. Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier at running back. You got Drake Lyon and Darnell Mooney coming off pretty bad weeks with Ryan McConnell. So there, Casey Washington, Ekedale Hodge, very, very valuable players to this team, are questionable. Kyle Pitts is the tight end. Charlie Warner will get in there a little bit. Outside that, the O-line is good to go, except with Cale McGarry being out the season. Elijah Wilkinson has started so far this year, and it's been about as you'd expect him to be. Not great. Defensively, the D-line's healthy, I guess. Again, Ruka Warrow is still starting as crazy to me. Brandon Doyles is kind of just a backup. James Pierce is questionable. Rest of the front seven is good to go, again, except Troy Anderson is not healthy, and Braylon Trice, I think, is out the year. AJ Terrell's questionable. Rest of the secondary is good to go. They're a healthy group. Parker Romo, Bradley Pinion round things out as well for that group. This game, to be honest with you guys, I think I'm still going to put it in decent because I think it'll be a decent game. But that's really, honestly, the stretch with this game. Considering just how bad the Falcons are going to play, I think it'll at least be decent enough of a game in terms of like quality to actually be considered decent. But still, this is not a game you put in a national window, or a national slot. This game itself, I'm picking the Commanders to win. I have no confidence in the Falcons winning this game. Who knows? They could pull off an upset. I'm going to say the Commanders win this one 27-18. No, 27-19. There's my final prediction on that. So I got there in the early window. Let's get to our later game, starting out with a game that, again, could go. Definitely, most underrated game of the week. And, guys, that is because we have a dandy of a matchup to start our later window games as the Colts, Indiana Jones. I don't have a good tagline for this game, but trust me, they're playing the Raiders next week. There's going to be a good one. And then just wait before that when they go to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. That'll be that's for the Seahawks play. Anyway, though, wait for that. That's like week 15. The Colts, though, like I said, they're 3-0. Indiana Jones, we all know about the lore, all this stuff. But, yeah, they're pretty good. They, in week 1, pulverized the Dolphins. But, again, the Dolphins are kind of like, we don't want to beat a dead horse there. Broncos in week 2, their offense went off. Last week, they were still really good, and their defense played well, too. So, again, overall complete so far this season. No one expecting them to be 3-0. And, again, especially with their matchup next week, they probably want to figure out a way to win this game. But are they a really good team? I don't really know. Rams, they are a really good team, but they didn't play like that for most of the second half last week. They got absolutely, like, embarrassed, and they blew probably their biggest opportunity outside. No, that was literally the biggest opportunity they've blown in a long time. Brutal loss last week against the Eagles in Philly. They had them dead to rights and just completely blew that game. But it really doesn't matter because they got to figure out a way to bounce back here against a Colts team that they have definitely some advantages over for sure. But still, we look at this Rams team. They are a very talented team. They are a very complete team. But how much is that really? I mean, maybe their defense is pretty bad last week towards the end. But still, they got to figure out a way to play better this week. But other than that, the Rams and Colts have played, I think, 2 times in the past, like 4 or 5 years. Both those games have been really close. The 2021 game, if I remember, that was the Rams Super Bowl year. I think I don't remember that. The Rams won that one 27-24. That was a pretty crazy game. They also played again. Puka Nacua went off for I think 100-something yards. Speaking of blown leads, in that game the Rams were up 20-0, and then Big Tony, he's still on the Colts. Yeah, he kind of brought that game back, and then, Puka Nacua saved the Rams in that game. Hopefully we don't need that, but I could definitely see that happening. This game will be at 4:05 on Fox and Fox 1, as well as the Fox, it's Fox Sport. Fox 1 is the way to stream this. Again, it is the late regional window here. Announcing this game, it's pretty pathetic, but Kevin Kugler, Daryl Johnston, and Allison Williams are on the call. Map, that's not the right one. That also isn't. This is, though. It's going to be in blue. Again, it's so... How the hell does this game not have more of the map? That's actually pathetic. It's bad. Obviously, Philly and Tampa is going to get, again, the priority of this game. But this game is literally, you could argue, is better than the Eagles and Colts. No, that's biased. So, it's a really underrated game, guys. Colts starting lineup, though. Danny Dimes, my bad. Indiana Jones, the quarterback. JT has been the best running back in football. I think he leads the league in rushing, right? You bet. Other than that, though, Michael Pittman had a pretty good week. Alec Pierce is going to hit probably a bomb, but he's questionable, so that wouldn't be good. Adonai Mitchell is a bust. Josh Downs is also their receiver. I think they took him in the second round, right? If I'm not mistaken, last year. Again, I should know that, but whatever. Again, I'm just casual, guys. Tyler Warren is their tight end. Mo Cox is getting a little bit. O-line wise, Michael Callis, Braden Smith are both questionable. I think they will play, though. The rest of the O-line is good to go. Defensively, where do we start? Their edge rushers have all been really good this year. Defensive line has been also really good. But yeah, DeForest Buckner's questionable. Linebackers have been a little bit shaky. We'll see how that gets affected this week. Kenny Moore's doubtful, which is a big loss, but they still do have Daniel Scott to throw in the slot if they really want to experiment there. The rest of the secondary is healthy, but they're definitely susceptible. For the Rams, they're definitely working through some things in terms of injuries. Again, Devontae Adams is questionable with, I think, what was it? A hammy? Yeah, I think they're being cautious, but again, if he plays, that would be big. Obviously. Blake doesn't play. But Blake Corum and Kyron are coming off their best week of the season so far. Puka and Jordan Whittington are healthy. Tutu Atwell has not been used really at all this season. Tyler Higbee's questionable. Davis Allen, though, has been really good, and hopefully Terrence Ferguson gets some snaps. O-line, Justin Dedes is questionable, which is an issue. Steve Avila is questionable, but he didn't even play last week. Alric Jackson, Coleman Shell, and Kevin Dotson all played fantastic most of the time. Rob Havenstein's questionable. He's old and he's not really that great anymore, but still, again, he's the last St. Louis Ram, so I can't really take too much away from him there. Defensively, they're healthy. There's really not much else to it. Again, they don't really have much of an excuse. Outside of Kel Witherspoon being out for a really long time. And these corners really didn't play well at all last week. Kobe Durant, please play like a number one guy, and Manuel Forbes don't get exposed. I don't know. Josh McCarty, Ethan Evans round things out there. Xavier Smith, Jordan Whittington are the returners with Alex Ward at long snapper. For this game, it's got to go in must watch, right? I don't think it's a game of the week. Again, you could argue, you could probably say it is. I just don't know because, again, there's a chance the Colts get embarrassed or, I don't know, the Rams just lay an egg. Who knows? This is a game you're going to have to turn on, though. There's no way around that. Like, if you don't turn this game on, you're just a freaking idiot. But still, yeah, I don't know. It's not quite a game of the week, but this is about, like, one of the most underrated games you're probably going to have all season. Again, if you got to pay attention to this one. For who's going to actually win, I'm going to pick my Rams to survive here. I don't think it'll be a great performance or well-rounded performance by them, but I think they'll be able to figure this one out and win this one 31-24. I expect the Colts offense, at least statistically, to have a pretty good game. I don't see this Rams defense being able to shut them down, really. I won't say it at all, but not at like a consistent level. I do see this Rams offense though moving the ball pretty consistently, having a very good game, and really just a sustained game, which was really what I want to see out of them. If that does happen, that would be huge, because realistically, they haven't played a complete game so far this season. I mean, the Titans win was pretty decent, but at the same time, their offense really didn't do too much, like, have the greatest first half into the third quarter. So we need to see a more complete game out of them. I think this is definitely the game where we can see it, especially with the short week coming up against San Fran, who we're going to get into right now. Yeah, and the other game in the for the late regional window is a pretty decent matchup that could have some very varying results. As the Jags come in at 2-1, they've had a pretty nice start to their season in terms of, again, their success, but still they have not really looked that great. They had a nice win against the Panthers in week 1, completely blew a game against the Bengals, and then last week I don't know. They came out of Duval with their first win against the Texans since 2017, or they won that game. Whatever, though. They were home. Now they travel to San Fran, a really long flight. I take on a Niners team that is, yes, 3-0. Again, the other times they've been 3-0, they've started out at least 5-0 and have made the playoffs, or made the Super Bowl both those years. But they're also, like, banged up to hell. They had massively horrible news with, Nick Bosa tearing his ACL for the second time in the past 5 seasons, which is obviously not a good thing. So they're going to have to try to find their way around that. But again, they're still 3-0. They've been able to figure things out so far this year, despite maybe not playing the greatest opponents. You could argue this is the best team they played so far. The Jags have not been in San Fran in like forever, so I can't even tell you the last time they played here, but they did play back in 2021. Niners took care of them pretty easily. This game will be at 4:05 on Fox, as well as the Fox streaming it on Fox 1. Announcing this game will be Adam and me and Mark Sanchez and Christina Pink, so I guess a better Fox team-ish. It's me in yellow. Again, like I said, very scattered parts of the country getting this game. Weather in Santa Clara for this game, you get 71 degrees, 8-mile-per-hour wind, so again, that could be a little bit of an issue. Realistically, it won't be at all. Again, decent weather overall for this game. Jags starting lineup, you got Trevor again at quarterback, Travis Etienne, Brashard Tuden's questionable. That's a little bit of an issue, but LaQuint Allen I would like to see on the field. Brian Thomas, and you also have Travis Hunter there. Diami Brown's questionable. Parker Washington is also their receiver. Brandon Strange is the tight end. O-line-wise, Ezra and Patrick McCarry both questionable. Chuma Adoga is really the only guys I trust outside that. Maybe you could argue Jonah Monhan, but he doesn't really have the flexibility to play guard. Wyatt Millam is not good, but he's also questionable too, so who cares? The rest of the O-line is good to go. Defensively, they are completely healthy. Like, there's really nothing I can say outside of Caleb Branson. I'm probably not going to get any snaps anyway, but if he was healthy, a guy I'd want to see. But other than that, they're completely healthy. Like, they have no excuse there. Cam Little, Logan Cook are doing things there. For the Niners, you have Brock Purdy questionable, but I think he's going to play. It would be good if he did. Mac Jones is also questionable. Curtis Rogers, yeah, this is not good. McCaffrey, Brian Robinson are in the backfield. Isaac Guerrero, Jordan James. I kind of forgot he was here. Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall are still questionable. Brandon Ayuk will be out at least after the Thursday night game again against the Rams coming up. Kendrick Bourne is a receiver. MVS, DeMarcus Robinson are also there. Sky Moore, I kind of forgot, was also on this team after being gone for a while. Not really, but he hasn't really existed for 2 years now. Jake Tanya, starting tight end. Luke Farrell, also there again. George Kittle out for another couple of weeks. Kyle Juszczyk, a fullback. Connor Colby's their left guard is questionable. Again, he wouldn't be starting, but again, with Ben Barch on IR. Trent Williams has been quietly dominant this year, and then, the rest of the group is good as well. Defensively, Micah Williams is going to have to take on a huge role. What the hell? Where did they get Bryce Huff? What? He's been really good. This season, I understand that. What? How did I not remember it? Whatever, though. Khalil Davis, Jordan Elliott are the defensive tackles. Alfred Collins is not great. CJ West is also questionable. Linebackers are healthy. They're really working a lot together. Starting boundary corners both questionable. Other than that, everyone else is healthy. Eddie Pinheiro, more not really. They're still cooked. Thomas Morstead at kicker and punter, and 6-7 for the rest of that. This game, I'm gonna put in decent. Yeah, it's gonna be decent. I would want to put it higher because I think it'll actually be a good game. But just because of the injuries the Niners have, and I just don't really love the Jaguars overall, that's keeping me here. But I think it'll definitely be a game that, again, you could definitely turn on and still think it's going to be competitive, which, again, it should be. So that's what I got there. Final score, though, I see I could go with a basic one, but to be honest, guys, I don't really see that happening. I'm going to say that the Niners... do we give them 4-0? I think I will. I'm going to say the Niners win this one 19-17. Not back bounce back win, but a solid win here to move to 4-0. Before pretty big game, though, on Thursday. That's what I'll say there. So I'll give them this one. I'm pretty confident with them. Again, even though the Jags, you could argue, are a better suited team at this moment. But realistically, they might not be. That's what I got there, though. Let's get to, again, a game that could be decent. And the compliment to the national game this week is a pretty intriguing matchup that has both teams on the struggle bus, at least so far at times this season. For the Bears, that was the first 2 weeks as they got blown out by the Lions in week 2 after a pretty disappointing 11-point blown lead in the fourth quarter against the Vikings on the opener. Whatever, though. They got a big win last week against the Cowboys, blowing them out 31-14, or not blowing them out. They won pretty good, though. Now they had to Vegas take on a Raiders team that has really been a rut offensively the past 2 weeks. Again, they really didn't get much going outside of, again, Trey Tucker kind of just being a pain in the arse last week, but still he had a massive game, 3 touchdowns. Some of them in garbage time. Aston Jitty still not look like a good running back. They haven't really done much at all on offense the past 2 weeks as well. Their defense has been also pretty horrific at times so far this season. They were good against the Patriots, but how much is that really saying? And also, they gave big plays against the Chargers, and last week they were terrible. So, not many good things going on for the Raiders. They've been pretty disappointing, but at the same time, I wouldn't say they could right the ship. But this would be a half step in the right direction if they were able to pull one off here today. Bears have not been to Vegas area since 2021. That was, I think, the game before or after. I don't really remember that. John Gruden got fired. The Bears won that one, or he didn't get fired. He left or something. It was very bizarre with the videos and stuff. 20-9 was final in that game, though. Other than that, they haven't really played at all. So, oh no, they played in 2023 too. That game was a blowout. The Bears won that one 30-12. Anyway, though, this game will be at 4:25 on CBS as well as NFL Plus and Paramount Plus. Again, it's not the national game; it's the complement to it. Spiro Diaz, Adam Archuleta, and Adiyat Kungabar are on the call for this game. Map-wise, you got it in blue. Yeah, not many people are going to be getting this game, again, locally. Kale Williams, quarterback, Tyson Bagents, the backup. DeAndre Swift is questionable. Kyle Monangai and Rashawn Johnson are also there. Other than that, Colson Loveland's questionable, but the rest of this offensive line, offense is pretty good to go. Romadunse's had a nice start of the year. DJ Moore has still done nothing. Luther Burden, he's kind of like out there sometimes. Alameda Skias is pretty good, though. Donald Wright is questionable. He's like 30 now. I don't know, that would be like a huge reach. He's 28. All right, so I wasn't too far off. But anyway, for this defense, Grady Jarrett's questionable. Gervon Dexter's been pretty good. Andrew Billings as well. They already cut Zach Pickens, which, again, he hasn't really been good. Minus Sweat, Dale Odom off the edge for passers that still hasn't really got too much going yet. TJ Edwards is questionable. Ruben Hypel, I guess, would play if he can't go. Noah Sewell's kind of just taking that over, though, at sub-linebacker. Tremaine Edmonds, huge game last week. Secondary, Kyle Gordon's questionable. Jalen Jones is questionable. We already know that Jalen Johnson is going to be out for a while. But Nation Wright has been very good so far this year, so give him his props. He stepped up there. Caro Santos, Torrey Taylor, Devin Duvernay, Scott Daly, round out that starting lineup for the Bears. For the Raiders, yeah, Michael Mayer's questionable, but other than O'Connell not having a hand, they're pretty much healthy. I mean, there's really nothing much else to it. I would like to see Jack Beck get a couple chances, though. Defensively, they are completely healthy. I mean, DeCameron Richardson won't play anyway, yeah. This is a healthy football team. Again, when you talk about healthy, the Raiders are healthy. Like, they're about as healthy as you get. So, realistically, no excuse for winning the game, I guess. I don't know. They might not be that good, though. This game, I'm going to put in decent. I don't think it will be that good, but, again, the Bears aren't horrible. The Raiders aren't also horrible. I don't think it's actually that boring. I think this will... I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and put it there. For the game itself, I'm going to pick the Raiders to pull off the upset. I don't know. I don't love the Bears in this game for a couple of reasons. One, I don't think they'll be able to run the ball too consistently. I just don't know if those big plays will be replicable this week. But for the Raiders, I'm going to say they win this one just because I think their offense will finally find some sort of groove and their defense won't be completely awful. I'm going to say they win this one 20-16. I'm so original. I think that was score... no, it won't be that. 20-15. There's my prediction there. Now let's get to... Oh, yeah, these next two games are massive. First of those two massive games will be the CBS doubleheader featured game of the week. It's between the Ravens and the Chiefs, which, again, we all know you expect to be a headliner game, which I guess it is. But at the same time, neither of these teams have the records that I think you'd think they'd have going into this game. Chiefs, I already talked about it. Again, with Mahomes, have already lost more games this season. They lost all of last year. But, again, they went 15-1. So, like, how much you really want to ask out of them? But still, they got I wouldn't say a huge one. They got a game they had to win last week against the Giants. Offensively, really wasn't a very good game, but they still figured it out. Defensively, they were very good. For the Ravens, though, I don't know. They played a pretty tough schedule to start the season. Not really, but still, no, they have. They should have beat the Bills. They were by 15 points there in the fourth quarter, and they just final 4 minutes. We don't know. They blew that game, but then blew out the Browns, sort of. Then last week, offensively, really didn't get into a big time rhythm, and that was part of the reason they weren't able to keep up with the Lions, as well as their defense just being completely trash. And speaking of that, this is a defense that if they don't play well against the Chiefs this week, there's going to be questions that are going to be asked about them because there's really no reason they shouldn't be this good. They're arguably the most talented defense in the entire NFL. Zach Orr is a good defensive coordinator, hopefully, but he's kind of getting diced up and dissected right now. I understand that Lions offense does that to a lot of teams, but again, there were a lot of instances where I'm like, that should not have been what ended up happening. So, a lot of questions there for the Ravens. We all know the Chiefs and Ravens, they play pretty decently. Again, not at the same frequency as the Bills do against the Chiefs, but still, they play pretty frequently. They played last year. Oh yeah, of course they did. That was the what was it, like one toe out again, and that was the kickoff game last year. Now I remember. Chiefs won that one 27-20 because of that. They played in the AFC Championship over a year ago, but in the same a calendar year ago, if that makes any sense. But yeah, that was obviously a disappointing loss to the Ravens. But they don't play, again, at its insane frequency, but they still play pretty consistently. This game, though, again, with it being CBS's national game, it'll be at 4:25 on CBS, NFL Plus, Paramount Plus are the ways to stream this game. On top of that, again, I think there'll be some sort of post game for this. Chiefs start weather, though, 83 degrees. Again, this is pretty concise. So, again, also sunny for this game. Announcing, again, Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson, the usual for CBS. Map-wise, it's going to be in red, and you can see it's basically the entire country as you'd expect for this game. On top of that, you look at the Ravens starting lineup. They're mostly healthy. Derrick Henry has had fumbling problems, as you guys all know. Justice Hill hasn't really gotten the volume of thought, and Keaton Mitchell, I don't even think he's gotten a carry in the past 2 weeks. maybe against the Browns. Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, DeAndre Hopkins are a receiver. Tylen Wallace and Tez Walker are also there. Mark Anderson is their starting tight end. Isaiah Likely's questionable once again. Patrick Reichardt's questionable once again. Ronnie Stanley's their starting left tackle, and he's also questionable. And then, everyone else is there too. Defensively, Nadami Madubuike is out another week. John Jenkins, I guess, would probably fill in. Travis Jones, you might kick out over the defensive defensive end, with Brian Washington being questionable. So they have 3 starters all questionable or out, and they're going to have to figure that out. Adafe Owe, Kyle Van Noy's questionable. Mike Green will start again if he can't go, and Tavius Robinson's also there. Roquan Smith, Teddy Buchanan, who was not good last week, or a linebacker, but we don't want to see Trenton Simpson out there, and Jay Haynes, at least up to this point, doesn't really look like a proven guy yet. Adisa Isaac also is on IR. Secondary's healthy. Yeah, that's about it there. Tyler Luke, Jordan Stout, and, some other dudes there for the Ravens. We move over to the, how am I forgetting? Chiefs, my bad. There's some interesting things going on here. Mahomes at quarterback. Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt in the backfield. Xavier Worthy is fully healthy. Rashid Rice still has a minute to go on a suspension yeah, he's back for week 4, but he's not going to be playing for a couple weeks now. Hollywood Brown, Tyquan Thorne, Juju, Jalen Royals, he's at least healthy, but yeah, this is not a very good group right now. Travis Kelce's washed. O-line is healthy-ish. Yeah, Josh Simmons hasn't really been that great. Defensively, other than Christian Fulton being questionable, there's, again, FAU being a bust. They're basically healthy. I guess he's saying, if I can't play, why can't I just be on IR at that point? I think I'm a roster spot, not being able to play. Whatever though. Harrison Bucker, Matt Ariza, Nicky Mauricio, and James Winchester across the special teams unit for this team. Move over to how this game, obviously one of the games of the week. I'm not gonna say this is my favorite game this week, but obviously again, Ravens Chiefs is always gonna be, these quarterbacks always gonna be one of the games of the week. There's really nothing else to it. I think it's being a little bit overlooked as well. For who's gonna actually win this game, give me the Chiefs. I say they pull off the upset. Neither one of these teams have ever won 1 3 under their quarterbacks. I just think the Chiefs they'll get out of this game. The Ravens next week, again, in the week after that, I don't really see them losing. So I think that's also part of it. No, they could lose in a couple weeks. But yeah, Ravens, tough start to the year, brother. 1-3. Let's see that happen. But this game's obviously going to be close. I think the Chiefs offense will finally wake up and put up a bunch of points. I'm going to say they win this one 34-31. Ravens defense still has a lot of questions after this game. And with that, now let's get to, I guess, the storyline of the games on Sunday. Yeah. I talked about it at the time of trade, which was actually, I don't even know if it was a month ago now, that all about how, yeah, Micah's returning to Dallas, and it's just week 4 now. That's pretty crazy. But I'll tell you guys, enjoy this game while it lasts, because the Monday night doubleheader will, I think, at least for you guys, will the predictions will come out, I think, somewhere around Monday morning. So get ready for that. But, yeah, those games are not going to be great. So, again, enjoy this game for sure. Anyway, though, we all know Micah Parsons returned to Dallas. Maybe not in the fashion you would have wanted. I mean, they still weren't that bad on defense last week against the Browns. But still, pretty pathetic performance against the Packers, against the Browns last week. And the trap game is Jordan Love struggled a lot with that pressure really didn't deal with. He kind of just gave up. But still, they're 2-1 because they had very, very strong wins in week 1 and week 2. Now they go to Dallas against the Cowboys team that has no defense and an offense that kind of was broken last week. CeeDee Lamb is expected to be out at least 2 weeks, which again is going to be a big issue for the Cowboys. I would be shocked that they're able to put together a complete offensive game in this one, especially against the Packers defense that has been very good so far this season. Again, just not really many good things going for the Packers in that sense, or Cowboys in that sense. But again, they have the home crowd. Again, Dak's probably trying to prove everyone wrong about Micah Parsons. Jerry Jones will probably get in on that pretty early as well. Again, if they're able to play well, but who knows if that'll actually happen. Again, at the end of the day, regardless, this is one of the better rivalries in the entire NFL, despite one team being a lot more successful and still not being completely successful than the other team, that being the Packers to the Cowboys. But again, last time they played was, I think, that wild card game back over calendar year ago. Still same calendar year. I think that was that was the wild card. Yeah, Jordan Love absolutely lit him up. So maybe similar game this time. Football Night in America, the usual time, Sunday Night Football, that 8:20 NBC, Universo, Peacock, NBC Sports app, NFL Plus, all that stuff. For announcing this game, we all know it's Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, and Melissa Stark on the call. Nothing really too much new on that. Packers starting lineup, you got Jordan Love at quarterback. Josh Jacobs is questionable. Emmanuel Wilson is also there in the backfield. Matthew Golden, Romeo Doubs, Dontavian Wicks are all at receiver. Savion Williams and Malik Heath are also there. Christian Watson is still out. Tucker Kraft's questionable as well as John Fitzpatrick. They're on most of their lines banged up. Elgin Jenkins, I think, still is, even though he's technically healthy. Sean Ryan's good, though. Zach Tom will be probably won't play in this one, so Darian Kennard, I think, would probably get the nod there. Anthony Bellin's questionable. Rasheed Walker and Aaron Banks are also both questionable. A lot of important things going on. Jordan Morgan, who knows what we'll get in. I still don't know why I was picking the first round. He's not a starting caliber NFL offensive lineman, really at all. Defensively, though, Rashawn Gary, I guess, 8 last week, not completely, though. Lucas Van Ness has looked pretty solid so far this season, which, again, is a pretty pleasant surprise. Devontae Wyatt's questionable as well as Carl Brooks. Nazir Stackhouse, Colby Wooden are healthy, though. Micah Parsons is also questionable. Linebackers are healthy. Secondary is almost healthy. Javon Bullard being the only exception, but again, he's not really too injured. Brandon McManus, Daniel Willman, everything else is going on there for the Packers. Cowboys now. Like I said, CeeDee Lamb is not going to be playing this week. He probably won't play next week either. Kevontae Turpin is there as well, though. He'll definitely have to be asked to do a lot of things. Jake Ferguson, Luke Schoonmaker at tight end. Javonte Williams is going to need to have a better week than he had last week, as well as Miles Sanders. O-line, Tyler Booker's doubtful. That's a pretty big loss because he's really been their only solid run defender so far this year. Cooper Beebe's out again. He was placed on IR after that win against the Giants. CJ Bass is also there. Terrence Steele also a right tackle. For this defense, they're healthy, but DeMarvin Overshown is still not back. Same thing with Siobhan Revel. They could be getting both those guys back somewhat soon. I wouldn't say exactly after the 4 weeks. Siobhan Revel will probably be a little bit more likely, considering he has been rehabbing pretty well in that ACL. He's starting over Cryer immediately. They really need him back. Deron Bland at least is back and healthy-ish. He's not completely 100% from what I've heard. Brandon Aubrey, Brian Anger, Kevontae Turpin, Trent Seeger, and round things out there as well. And now, wrapping these predictions up, before we actually get to the real prediction, how is this game going to be? It's obviously one of the games of the week. Well, I'm not on freaking brick, guys. You got to be crazy. This is, again, must-watch, obviously. Prediction, though. I don't want to see the Cowboys are going to get completely embarrassed. I just don't see how they're going to put together a full faith effort in this one. I think the Packers defense is just going to completely maul that Cowboys offense. I think their O-line is not going to have much of a answer to that. I don't see this Packers offense completely running the show, though. For that reason, I'm saying they win this one 28-13. Some big plays with the touchdowns. And this game not really being completely competitive, but I don't think it'll be a complete blowout like some people want it to be. So I got there, though. Packers get a big win in Dallas there. So that's all I got for you guys. And then, enjoy all the games. Get ready for the recap on Monday. And again, get ready for that Monday Night Football doubleheader preview, even though the games itself aren't the greatest.
Offensive lineman in there.
Chiefs have to make sure they don't jump. And Jackson will get the first down and in effect end the game.
Go on with it, John Harbaugh. The guts of a sailor. He made the toughest call a head coach has to make, and look at him. He knows it. That decision just won the football game. They kick that thing back to Patrick Mahomes. Who knows what happens? 4 offensive linemen on the left side of the